Horses are usually considered to be the most beautiful and well-loved animals in our country. They're majestic, they're proud, they're beautiful. Every horse movie ever made shows us this, in the soulful gaze or the proud uplifted head. Slow-motion shots of horses running at up to 40 miles per hour capture the immense power and big hearts of these creatures. The most tragic horse movies, or books, show horses that are old, weak, injured, and dying. But many of these books and movies show the glorious strength and freedom of a youthful horse, and we learn to hate the aging and sickening of our own horses. A 25-year-old horse is the equivalent of an 80-year-old man and isn't long for this world, but we refuse to believe that. Age is something that everyone wants to avoid, but can't. When a parent or grandparent starts getting older, we try to either ignore it or fix it. This is understandable. We love our parents and our grandparents and would greatly prefer that they stay young and healthy for all of eternity. But the odd thing about human beings is that we do the same thing with our animals. We pump so many chemicals into our older animals, it's a miracle they still put up with us. We do the same thing to our beasts of burden as well. When our beloved horse gets to an age when every step, every bite, every swallow is painful, we give them painkillers, vitamin boosts, and energizing foods. But nothing seems to help. Eventually, we have to admit that our horse is dying and is in a serious amount of pain. But now what do you do with your animal? Unlike a grandparent, you can't just sit by the bed until the end. A human can appreciate this gesture, but a horse can't. A horse just wishes that its gut wasn't aching. So what can you do? Euthanasia is too expensive, even though it is the gentlest way to end an old horse's life. But the amount of lethal injection needed to end the life of an animal that can weigh up to 1 ton is so costly it's nearly impossible for the average horse owner to afford. And so most of us are left with the second best option: send the horse to the slaughterhouse. This is potentially less humane than euthanasia, but if the job is handled properly, it is efficient and painless. Despite allegations against slaughterhouses by the animal rights activists that horses are inhumanely treated and slaughtered, professional slaughterhouses of any sort have always been subject to strict standards of treatment for the animals. The horses are killed quickly and efficiently with no pain. The captive stunning bolt that first stuns the horse hits them so quickly that they can't even feel it. If the horse were able to move its head, this would be potentially less humane and even traumatizing to the horse. But professional slaughterhouses have a system in which the horse is unable to move its head, and the stunning is therefore efficient and painless. The videos of horse abuse at slaughterhouses that you find on the internet are, in general, more than 15 years old. Since the outlawing of horse slaughter in 2006, the Humane Slaughter Act has become more strongly enforced. Horses are no longer abused in slaughterhouses. Now that we've gone through why horse slaughter isn't nearly as cruel and inhumane as animal rights activists would have you believe, and now that we know that it's legal, why is it a necessary thing? In 2007, my family bought a gorgeous bay filly. She had a rich brown coat and the longest black mane and tail you've ever seen, and some of the best bloodlines in the region. But it turns out that as a young horse, she had some nutritional difficulties and her brain was underdeveloped. As she got older, this underdevelopment affected her to the point of her being extremely dangerous to work with. In the end, we sold her in an auction, and we have no idea what ended up happening to her. But the best end for a horse like this would have been slaughter. Most slaughter horses were then sent to zoos, and their meat was used to feed the animals there. If this horse had been able to have been sold to a slaughterhouse, then she could have continued being useful to humans, and she would also have been eliminated as a threat to the humans working around her, since she was so dangerous. I love horses. I love their noble hearts, their keen minds, and their legendary speed and beauty. Any animal rights activist would agree that horses are among the most beautiful and best loved animals in our nation. But the solutions presented by the activists for ending their lives makes it the government's job to tell us what to do with our old and sick horses. It's not the government's job to tell us what we can do with these horses that we use as tools. Horses are not humans. They are not capable of rational thought like we are. They're livestock. And when livestock is past its useful prime, it is slaughtered for meat. We are on this earth to be stewards of God's creation. Stewardship is not letting the unwanted or injured horses starve to death. Stewardship is making sure that the pain is eliminated, but the animal's usefulness is still maintained. Since horse slaughter is now legal in the United States, Dr. Temple Grandin, who is known for her work with designing livestock handling facilities that minimize the stress and fear in the animals, will be designing the first new horse slaughter facility in the U.S. Part of her design involves video monitoring outside the facility and good management, which she says are vital to humane operations. Dr. Grandin knows that this is the best logical alternative. Otherwise, all of our horses would be shipped to Canada or Mexico, where humane slaughter is not as strongly enforced. Horse slaughter might sound like the worst thing we can do to our beloved horses, but for most of us, it's the only thing we can do. With good systems in place and good monitoring to enforce humane operations, this method of ending our horses' lives when they are past their useful prime is the best thing we can do, while still being good stewards of God's creation.